My name is Jordan Rideout. I am the host of Real Talk with Rideout. This is our third episode of the podcast. Today we have a very special guest. He is a Wimbledon doubles champion, mixed doubles champion, Olympic gold medalist, and I'm lucky enough to call him a friend. Jack Sock, professional tennis player, but he's a great person as well, and I think he's a role model to a lot of people. He's a young up-and-coming, not even up-and-coming anymore, he's just a young professional looking to continue to rise in the ranks of professional tennis, and he has gained the respect of the likes of Federer, Nadal, John Isner, the list goes on. So I'm very, very excited to have Jack Sock on today. Once he gets on here, we'll get started. Let me get this sorted. Okay. Until then, we will kind of talk about what we're going to go over today. Basically, Jack is one of those people that has been through a lot of different things, but he's remained humble through the whole thing. And I think in today's society, especially with professional sports and social media, I think the importance of remaining humble is very is losing a little bit of traction in our mindsets today. And so I think Jack is a very, very key component of remaining humble, and he's a role model to many, not only young tennis players, but I think young athletes across the world. And I personally know people that I'm just friends with that are now massive Jack Sock fans purely because they knew him when I was younger, and basically he's remained the same person since he was in high school. Furthermore, Jack is when you're an athlete that's at the elite level and you get an injury that's very tough on you, and Jack sustained a pretty tough injury, and so we're going to talk a little bit about how Jack overcame that injury. Jack's requested right here, so I'll give an introduction again. Thank you everyone for joining. My name is Jordan Rideout. I am the host of Real Talk with Rideout. Episode 3 is going to be a banger of an episode. We have a good friend of mine, Wimbledon champion. He's a mixed doubles champion, Olympic gold medalist, one of the most humble professional athletes that I know. So I'm lucky enough to have Jack Sock on the podcast today. So without Jack. What's up, buddy? How you doing?
What's up, dude? How you doing, man?
Good. You staying safe?
Yeah, just doing whatever I was doing, getting outside when I can, practicing here and there. They just opened up tennis courts here in North Carolina, so able to practice again a little bit, getting some home workouts, all the same as everyone else.
Yeah.
What about you?
Spending a lot of time with your family, though, huh? Congrats on your engagement, man.
Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, we've spent a lot of quality time together from the injury last year to coronavirus. A lot of time together. It's been awesome.
Good. So basically, I started a podcast about a month ago, and I've had a couple of very, very impactful people on here, but they've all been soccer players, soccer coaches, and obviously I know your story very well, and I'll kind of give a little bit about how I know you, and then if you don't mind, you can give a little bit of bio about yourself and who you are and what you've done. But for those out there, I met Jack when I was in middle school. We became really good friends, and I knew he was a good tennis player. He knew I was a good soccer player, but it kind of left at that. And throughout the years, we remained friends, and a lot of our same interests became bigger and bigger and bigger, and we kind of saw that obviously my path didn't blow up as much as Jack's did in the professional world, but we were always there supporting each other, and his story is one I think a lot of people need to hear. So I'll let you kind of tell about yourself, and we can go from there.
Yeah, I appreciate that. But yeah, my family, outside my dad is stay back in Lincoln, but we moved to Kansas City when I was in 5th grade. And then I started kind of slowly making friends, obviously in a new city and everything. And Jordan, I feel like was one of my first like good buddies there, someone that I gelled with. Obviously, I feel like I connected with other guys who played sports, and obviously I heard about Jordan was a amazing soccer player himself. Obviously, his dad was an amazing soccer player, so the family, the Rideout family, there was very well known, and I feel like it's kind of the first family I met. Even like I think I met your mom early on, your brother. I think it's kind of one of the first families I knew kind of early on. Yeah, we hung out a lot. We got to know each other well. I feel like then through high school, obviously I'd go to soccer games. One of my favorite things to go to. I was a soccer player when I was younger, not anywhere near that level, but I always enjoyed the sport, and I respected the athlete that a soccer player is, and what goes into it. So I always followed, even into your professional career. I feel like we always kept tabs on each other and kept up, and yeah, it's been awesome. It's been probably the only handful of guys that I've really kept in touch with since kind of high school days, and you're definitely one of them. So yeah, it's been since middle school through the Blue Valley North Mustang days, and here we are.
It's been real, brother. It's been real.
It's been crazy.
Yeah.
It's been crazy.
Yeah. So kind of your background as a tennis player. I'll touch on a little bit more into, you kind of hit a lot of our subjects for today, different sports and kind of staying humble. But as a tennis player, you for me, you were good, and then I turned around, you hit the scenes, and you were this pro that was playing against the top players in the world, and then I think at that point it's kind of make or break, and then you started to win trophies and you really hit on the scene. So I mean, can you kind of touch on how tennis wise you came up and what helped you get to the pro level?
Yeah, I mean the reason we ended up in Kansas City was for a coach there, Mike Wolf, who kind of became a father figure in my life, someone that I really got close to. I still talked to him last night. I still talk to multiple times a week, and yeah, he was the reason we're there. He definitely molded me into the player I am today. I think if I had to give credit to a tennis coach for where I'm at today, it would be because of him for sure. I mean, the amount of hours we spent together on court and at his academy. He ran an amazing academy out of Kansas City, and still does now, just at a different club. But yeah, the sacrifice my parents made living away from each other, plus his knowledge and influence on me tennis wise, was kind of the perfect storm, perfect combination to get, I guess, in this position today. But I definitely did it. I definitely did a different route than most guys, I would say, that end up, on the professional scene. Obviously, I was at a normal high school. I was in the classes. A lot of guys would kind of homeschool or even bypass school at an early age. And I loved being there. I loved hanging out with everybody. I loved going to watch different sports you guys play. I mean, all of it. And then I ended up playing high school tennis for 4 years. And it's definitely towards the end of that. I was still planning on going to college, definitely my junior year and then into my senior year. But I think there was just a couple of results that I had, especially my senior year in high school, at some lower level pro events that kind of shifted my mindset to kind of tackle the pro scene earlier than I expected. But I guess in hindsight, it was a great decision. It was a scary decision, obviously, at the time, but it's turned out well.
Cool. What school do you have gone to?
I was going to Nebraska to play with my brother.
That's a shock. You love the Cornhuskers, huh?
I know. I was excited to go, man.
Yeah. So basically, when you saw at these lower level pro tournaments that you were actually capable of making it, is that when you really realized, okay, I can really do this?
Yeah, because I had a good amount of junior success, and I mean, I think that's great and all, but when you want to get to that next level, and I think it goes with every sport. I mean, I think, and I'm not knocking, obviously, junior tennis. Anyway, it's some of the best years of my life. I loved it, but obviously the level is so different. It's kind of boys, and then you go to the man level, and I think you can have all the success here that you want, but it doesn't necessarily always translate into the next level. But so I wasn't totally sold on myself on being able to go out there and have that success, the same success that I was having. And so I went out and I ended up winning. Actually, when I was 17, I won kind of the first level pro level event. I think I was still a junior or senior in high school, and that's kind of when I was like, okay, maybe this is a path I could take. And but then at the same time, you go and play. That was a great week for me. But then you kind of go from having that success in the juniors to then going, if you're not winning, you're almost losing every single week. You're used to winning a lot of matches. Now if you play 30 weeks, you almost have 30 losses a year.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it's a completely different mentality. So you gotta adjust. You're playing guys now that even at that low level, or that starting level pro tennis, you're playing guys that are trying to feed their family that night, and they have kids, and they're this is what they've been doing for 10 years already, and you're just a kid out of high school. So it's completely different, different world, I feel like. But I was happy with the transition I made, for sure.
Did you have someone in your corner that was, mentally pushing you on in those times when you're losing 30 matches, or was it you?
Yeah, I mean, your family obviously first and foremost is there. I mean, they're the ones that, without them sacrificing, being, with the move to Kansas City, it started with that. But then having Coach Wolf, I mean, he was my guy basically until I got here to Charlotte, and he's still a guy I'll talk to all the time about tennis and the mental side of it. And I think you can always grow in that. There's never a cap on or a ceiling on your mental growth and mental strength in a sport, in a business, anything. But yeah, he was that guy. I mean, he would go with me to a lot of events, and if he didn't, I'd get home and we'd either grab dinner or talk on the court for hours about what I was feeling here and at this point in the match and all that. And it just it really helped. Kind of help calm you down, because I think you can definitely get stressed out, especially when you make this big decision to forego college, which I was planning on doing, and then your friends are at college and your athletic friends are now playing sports in college and they're having the time of their lives, it looks like, and you're playing in some park in a random state and losing to a 35-year-old guy who's yelling vamos in your face. It's like it's kind of like what have I done? What choice did I make? And then you just gotta stick with
yourself, right? You just gotta believe in yourself and keep on pushing on.
Yeah.
But it kind of goes. I mean, I'll give some context for everyone out there that doesn't know this side of it. Alarm was going. Jack Doc is live. But in high school, basically, you said a lot of people would be homeschooled, and you were a normal person. You're going, like you said, you're going to the games, and I don't think anyone really realized the level of tennis player you were in high school, because you weren't someone that was going around telling everyone. It was just, you kind of hear it when you hear it. And then so I think, again, I think that the subject that I want to get into now is the importance of remaining humble, because you were always the same person I ever knew when you were 14, when through high school, when I was in college and you were starting to go through the pro ranks, and now. And I mean, I think in today's athletics world, almost even like these youth kids, when you make it, they think that they have some sort of right or ego. And for you, I think your continuous growth as a pro is a big part of you remaining humble and staying true to who you are.
Yeah, I think I think the dynamic of the whole thing has changed a little bit. I think like I kind of said before, I think when you have some success at the the beginning stages of your sport, the junior level, the amateur level, I guess you would say, I think I don't know, when we were coming up, even when we were coming up to now, I think it's changed a little bit. The social media stuff wasn't as big. The hype around people, wasn't as big. Of course, it was more like newspaper articles and local news stations, pick up things. But now it kind of blows my mind that some of these guys are amazing at their sport, of course, and then they're in high school, they're teenagers, they're amazing at their sports. But the hype around them, these kids have millions of followers on Instagram, and like these basketball players coming up, and these football players, and it's which is amazing. But I feel like until you prove that at that next level, that you can be there, the hype is almost too much, and I think it can definitely mess with kids' heads. So I'm honestly fortunate enough that maybe the social media stuff wasn't, it was kind of beginning. I feel, when we were coming up, Facebook was kind of still the main thing. There wasn't Instagram, really wasn't there as much, and and all these other outlets. But yeah, I think I'm fortunate in that sense, because I think if it was today's kind of world with the social media and everything, I think it might have been a lot more difficult to kind of navigate through all that, because it would have just been so crazy with whether it's you in soccer or me in tennis or any of our buddies that we know in sports. But it's definitely something to deal with. And yeah, I mean, it's I think it's a difficult time these days. So I'm definitely fortunate that we weren't necessarily in that.
Yeah, man. I know when I was younger, I probably could have gotten in trouble about a few things I posted. But I see both sides of it, because for example, now you use your social media, and I think you are inspiring, and not just young, but people like me as a coach. I think you inspire me a lot, and so it can go either way in that aspect. But one of my buddies, Cody Lorendi, said it. He said, I think a lot of people, you have to look at them and you have to see, are you happy that you have the tracksuit on, or is that just the start? And basically, I think for myself, and I think for you as well, it's the continuous thought of, I'm not there yet, I'm not there yet, I'm not there yet, compared to the thought of, wow, I actually made it. There's the difference of, are you going to have a career, or are you going to just get there and then fall off?
Right.
And you kept growing, you kept growing, you kept growing, and you were able to lift a trophy. And so, even when you lift a trophy, I go and hang out with you, and nothing changes. And I think I've seen a lot of different people in different sports change a lot when they do hit that.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, I've definitely had my firsthand experience of that as well. But yeah, I think that was large in part to Coach Wolf and definitely my parents. I don't know. I think I was always a little different too. I think when I won a trophy, I was happy for like even the juniors. You win a title, you win a tournament. I was happy for like for my parents, and I was happy for my family because they sacrificed a lot. I was happy for Coach Will for the hours he put in. I wasn't necessarily like pat myself on the back. I was more happy for the people around me, the people that made it possible for me to be there, and then I wanted that feeling again. So then that would kind of motivate me to go do that again. I never really got highs of highs off the wins and lows of lows off the losses. I just wanted to make them happy, I guess.
I think that is incredibly admirable, and a lot of people need to hear something like that, because you're doing it for more than yourself, and when you're doing it for your family, then your family is that much more connected to you, and it becomes more than just a sport. It's actual love for the game. So that's something that I think a lot of people, including myself, needed to hear, and it's very cool.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Little change of pace.
All right.
So one of my good friends, he actually passed a few years ago. Kurt Korver, his brother, obviously Kyle Korver, basketball player.
Yeah.
We went to college together. One of my best friends. We had a debate, and Kirk was 6'6", big old feet, and he claimed to me that he would be able to play soccer at D1 level better than I would be able to play basketball at the D1 level. And so you and I obviously had rec team sports together. I know that you can ball in the soccer field. I know you can ball in the bowling. You were just an athlete. So I want you to answer this question. Do you think that a soccer player could easily play basketball, or a basketball player could easily play soccer?
I think I think the soccer player could probably transition as long as they have some sort of shot, like a feel with this. I think that a soccer player could probably translate to basketball more because the footwork's already there. The fitness level, the lung capacities are there. You guys, you run up and down the field all the time, so short bursts won't be as tough. You guys have the short burst of the ball, the change of direction, all that. So I think that's there. I think I'm trying to imagine like a big basketball player to be able to run up and down a field for an entire game for 90 minutes.
You can make LeBron a soccer player.
No, if you could, that would be amazing. But I think, oh man, I don't know. I think as long as they have some sort of shot you can work with, I think a soccer player would translate more. I just think that the footwork just comes to mind, and the lung capacity, the athleticism to move around the court. I just think. Yeah, I think most of the time when you grow up doing this your whole life, kind of the upper body, like eye-hand coordination, then you're like feet eye coordination is not going to be there. I mean, I've seen it. I've seen it many times.
Yeah.
People try to play. I've seen some of the best athletes try to kick a soccer ball or drill, and it's not pretty. So I'm going to go with soccer players to basketball, probably easier.
So you at tennis, you have both the feet and the hands. I've seen you play soccer, and I'll let everyone know you can ball. But if you were to play, let's say you're playing for LA Galaxy, what position would you be?
I mean, I grew up as a defender. I grew up when I was younger, but I think now, I mean, I think in tennis, one thing that I pride myself on is quickness and speed and getting around the court. So I guess nowadays, maybe I see myself more potentially midfield, or I don't know if I'd go much as a striker, but I mean, you can probably answer for me. I think if you got like a good amount of speed, if quickness is, kind of an attribute, plus I think I got a pretty big foot. Like I could clear the ball pretty well. Maybe defending then still.
Big
I don't know.
Put him at right back. He can run.
There it is. That's what I was in the toddler in junior soccer.
What if you could play pro one other sport, what would it be?
Golf for sure.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've grown to love golf. So I mean, my dad played his whole life growing up and played college golf, but yeah, now if I get a spare couple hours or a spare a day off, that's my go-to if I can.
Okay. So tell me about Jack Sock Enterprises. I saw something about you have Arabian horses.
Yeah, our family. My mom grew up with horses. It's always been I'm definitely a passion of hers. I've definitely grown to love them and respect kind of the animal they are. You don't realize these things are beasts, and then being around them and now we're breeding and kind of raising horses and I mean, it's more in Kansas City, so I'm not there as much now. But when I was there, we'd go check on them all the time. I know my mom goes out to the barn almost every day, probably. My brother's out there, but yeah, I just kind of gotten into the horse business, I guess, a little bit, and for the love of it, slash the kind of business fun side of it, where you're able to compete and raise them and kind of train them, all that. So
literally everything you do is almost based off your family, some sort, huh?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is. Yeah, I mean, I would say, yeah, the love of the Huskers came from, my family. I mean, I was born in Lincoln, but yeah, everything's kind of comes full circle to the family.
Yeah, that self-sacrifice where they sacrificed back when you were growing up, and now you're kind of showing that now. That's very
cool. Exactly.
So when you got injured recently, it was obviously something that was rough in your career, and for me it was kind of someone that's watching from the outskirts. It was hard to see you want to be out there so bad, but obviously not be able to. And I mean, you're someone that doesn't go and show all your emotions all the time, and you kind of keep your life private, which I appreciate a lot. But if you don't mind, how did the process of the injury and overcoming it affect you, mentally, physically, and emotionally?
Yeah, I think anytime an athlete in any sport at any level, gets injured, I think it's the initial shock, and I mean, not depression, but you're just so down, like you're just like, wow, I can't. I think it's when those doctors or someone tells you, you're going to be out for an extended period of time. We've all done the 2 weeks off, 3 weeks off. That's in your mind. You're like, okay, just a little bit. But then when you hear months on end, or and especially for something, I mean, my thumb, you wouldn't think your thumb, is like so crucial, but then when you learn how much you use your thumb for with life in general, yeah, it was crazy when I heard, and they said, this could take about 6 months to be full, and I was like, for my like, I tore these 2 ligaments, and even to this day, it's still a little swollen around the joints, but as long as I can use it for what I need it for, to hold the racket and normal life things, I was good with it. So, but it took way longer than I expected, I guess. And then even when you get back from it, it's just crazy. Like you have the surgery, and obviously you can't do anything for a while, but then as much as Q-tipping your ear, you can't even hold on to the thing that, as well, and you can't twist the bottle cap. And I was just like, what is going on? And but I think as hard as it was, and as much as it sucked to be away from the tour and from competing, which I love the most about the sport, is just going out and competing. And going to battle against someone. I think as hard as that was, I think it was honestly one of the biggest blessings as well, because personally in my life, I wouldn't have been, in this position, which, I mean, for Laura and I, we spent, so much time together last year. And like I said, it's kind of weird because we kind of just felt like we kind of just did the, a injured version of quarantine where, I wasn't able to do anything. I wasn't able to travel or play or anything. So we spent all this time together last year and now doing it again, which is, again, another blessing. Cause now we've.
Hate you yet?
What's that?
She doesn't hate you yet?
No, I'm surprised, honestly. But yeah, so it's kind of, as hard as it was at the time, there's always a reason for things. And I think that was kind of, God's way of saying, you guys spend this time together. And now we're getting married in December. And I think without that time, without that injury, for whatever reason it happened, we wouldn't be, probably in this position to do that. So you got to take positives out of things, of course. As hard as it is to see at the beginning, it's definitely, you're kind of like, why now when, was playing all right, or you're excited to play and the season is just starting. And but yeah, like I said, I wouldn't be in this position personally in my life if it wasn't for that. So I'm fortunate in that sense.
Is there times that you doubted that you would get back to where you were, or you just kind of focused on getting back to there?
I mean, for sure. I mean, I think that the whole kind of, can even say downfall. I mean, from 2017, where I kind of, I peaked at my career high, my best singles win, the end of 2017, and then 2018 was kind of that first real like target on your back when you're, top 10 player in the world. Everybody wants to beat you. Everybody wants a top 10 win, and I didn't go into that season probably as prepared as I should have been. It was just a lot of different things, finishing later than normal, making the year-end finals in 2017, and not having the same amount of time that I usually do to get ready. And so I went into 2018 was terrible. And then, results wise, I didn't win many matches at all and all that. And then all of a sudden you start 2019 and get injured, and now you're out for 6 months. It's just like, and I think that's what definitely the lowest my confidence has been, which I would say I've always been confident in myself, I would never say in an arrogant way, but I've always had the belief in myself to go out and win matches and beat players. And this was the first time I started doubting myself, which really kind of tricked my mind. It was the first time I would go out, and even when I go out on court after I got back from injury last year, at the end of the year, I'd be going out on court and second guessing myself, which I hadn't done since I probably started the sport, and so it definitely took a lot of time for me to get back mentally where I wanted to be. And then I found a coach here who was actually an ex-player. I actually played once when in 2012, but now he's coaching me, and he's really, really helped, along with, like I said, Coach Wolf. I still talk to all the time, but he's really got my mind back to where I believe in myself again. And we put in the hours and the work to where now I'm almost more confident now than maybe I ever was.
And so that feeling of winning after you came back from your injury, explain that feeling, coming through everything, and then finally, winning that title.
Yeah, I think, last year I had the thumb to start the year, and then I tried to come back in the summer, and then all of a sudden my back started killing me, and then I learned that I had a kind of like a disc out of place in my back. And so then basically 2019 was a wash for me. I played. I got a phone call. Sorry. Played maybe 5 events last year, and they didn't go well at all. And then, like I said, we put that work in, and my confidence started finally building. And we took an extended off-season training, and then to make. I mean, it's a challenger in tennis, which is the kind of the level below the tour. But obviously, you got to play those when you have no ranking. Now you've been injured, so. But even for me to play that and to get to the finals of that event, it was probably the last match played before coronavirus hit and everything was canceled, and we were the last match to play. But then to be in that final, and even at that point to hold a second place trophy and to even be a runner up, I was just like, it gave me all the confidence in the world again. So now that I'm eager and so excited to get back, and I have that belief again in myself that with just that one result and in that 1 week, I know I can get back to where I can be.
So you think this coronavirus made you hungrier and hungrier? It's kind of even paused it more?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think without that result right before, I mean, it was the week leading into coronavirus when everything got canceled. So I think without that week, without that result, I might have been during this whole quarantine and lockdown. I could have been, second guessing myself again. But with that result, it definitely is. I think it's going to propel me, when we all come out of this and sports resume, and especially tennis. I think I'm going to be. I'm definitely excited to play. I think this is. I mean, I miss it a lot. I miss competing. I miss getting out there and playing. So, yeah, that one result really kind of changed things for me.
Confident, hungry Jack Sock coming back out.
I know. I'm excited.
It's going to be good to see. You're going to have a lot of fans, and I mean, I tell you, I'm excited to see your success.
I appreciate it.
So, I want to talk a little bit about a story I remember vividly. You randomly were playing Uno on your Instagram, and I'm looking, and I'm thinking, is that Gerard Piqué from Barcelona? And so I messaged you and I said, I'm pretty sure that's Gerard Piqué. And you were like, who's that? Like, what do you mean? I said, I was like, point across the room, and that's him. And so we kind of talked about it a little bit more, and he was asking who it was. He's like, oh, that was pretty cool. And I was like, he's married to Shakira. And then you got a little bit interested, which is funny. But I mean, from my opinion, like, that's on the same level as I mean, Nadal, who you're playing against all the time, but that's elite. And to see one of my good friends playing Uno with Gerard is insane. So how often I know you're friends with Odell Beckham Jr. and you've got a few big time friends. How often do you kind of get out to see other players in other sports?
Not as much as I'd like, honestly. I mean, that Uno thing was funny. That was kind of the game. That was kind of the game of the week, and there at Davis Cup, and so Davis Cup is a team event with countries in tennis that play each other, and I didn't realize how big of a tennis fan Gerard Piqué was, and so he's actually a part owner investor now in Davis Cup. So now it's in Madrid, and they just play. At the end of the year now, it's kind of the last week of the season for us in November, and so he's there kind of floating around the tournament, checking on things, as I think a big investor in it now. And funny, we played that game, and then I looked him up on Instagram and realized that he was following me, and I had no idea. So I had to follow him back on Instagram after that, and it was awesome. I definitely know soccer. I know players, and I know the big players, and I know the name, but yeah, I guess then to be sitting there, playing cards with him, and at the level, he's playing at and played at, and the things he's accomplished, it was definitely surreal. Yeah, it was crazy, but yeah, there's been a few kind of run-ins like that where unexpected. Like I said, Odell was at a match of mine in 2016 at the U.S. Open, and we ended up going to a Kanye concert the day after in Madison Square Garden together. So with a group of people, so it's stuff like that. Those are kind of the moments where you're just like, it's very eye opening. Like, wow, I can't believe I'm here. But yeah, just blessed and fortunate for some of those amazing moments.
I mean, I'm trying to imagine myself sitting next to Odell Beckham Jr. Are you kidding me?
No,
like mind blowing.
No, it was crazy.
I won't take too much more of your time, but
yeah, you're good, man.
I just want to kind of finish with kind of how you mentally approach not just tennis, but kind of your life and moving forward and staying, confident and basically not taking any steps back. Because I know, again, I talk about soccer a lot, but mental it's all about the mental and the ups and the downs. And you can kind of get into that for me.
Yeah, I think it's kind of crazy. I think that the mental side of it all kind of changes. Actually, obviously, the more years you have, the older you get. And I don't want to call us old at the age we're at, but when you grow and you mature and things in your life change. The way I'd approach it, maybe at 21 21 and single, and you're just out on tour, and you're kind of enjoying life. And then now, having some accomplishments under your belt, having that experience under your belt, having those years on tour, and now engaged, and now you have things, you know, obviously that are bigger than tennis that you focus on as well. At the same time, obviously, doesn't necessarily take away from your career and what you're trying to accomplish, but I don't know. I'd say I'm more just at peace now, and so I kind of approach it differently. Is I know, you know, I know the work I need to put in. I know the level of, you know, the level of work and training you need to put in. And I think when you're younger, you're still learning and you're still like trying to figure things out. And now you kind of just know the routine, and you have your hours set out in the day. You just go get your work done, and then from there you now, you know, planning a wedding, and you know, there's a lot of different factors now, and you know, in a different city now, and starting a life here. So, yeah, the preparation stuff might be a little different. I think when you're younger, you might, you know, put your body through more and more and more, you know, stress, and you kind of beat it down more. And now you kind of tailor it to, you know, you've been on tour and your hips hurting a little bit, your knees are hurting, you've had some injuries, as you know. So I think you approach things a little different. You kind of, you know, like I said, you know, the level of training you need to put in to feel good on court and to give yourself the best chance of having success. But I think it's definitely tailored and changed a little bit the more years you have, you know, in your sport.
So to kind of relate to some of my guys, go back to a 21-year-old Jack, and you know, there's some of my players, for example, have this individual pressures inside that they put on themselves of, I got to be pro. Why am I not pro yet? It needs to happen now. And so, I mean, I obviously went through that a little bit myself, but if you could go back and tell yourself something about the pressures of putting, I need to be at this level right now when you were young, what would you tell yourself?
Honestly, I would just be say, you know, take a deep breath. I think we can all say that. Yeah, I think in tennis, I was fortunate that at the age group that we're at, and in tennis, we had probably a group of 5 or 6 guys that were, you know, probably all had those same pressures. But then at the same time, we were able to build off each other and kind of motivate each other. So it wasn't as individualized as tennis is, especially in U.S. tennis. I feel like there's always a group of guys that kind of go off like your age and your birth year. So we were the 92s, you know, coming up at that, you know, that young age, and we were able to push each other. So it wasn't necessarily like, you know, all of the pressure of U.S. tennis is on one person. It was kind of, you know, divided amongst a couple of guys to see who, you know, kind of who's going to make it. And so for me, that was kind of a competition in itself I want to be that guy to break through of our age group and to get to that highest ranking and to achieve, you know, win the titles that we're all playing for, you know, the same week. So, but yeah, I mean, if I was able to go back and tell myself, I just say, take a deep breath and kind of take it all in, learn as much as you can, pick as many people's brains as you can. And I think that's what I've been able to do over the years, kind of more and more as you mature a little bit. I think at, you know, at 21, I think we all think we know everything, and, you know, you go out there and you're going to make it no matter what. But, you know, reality sets in, and you got to learn from other people and people that have been there and done it. And that's kind of what I'm able to do with a couple of the older guys, the Isners and these type of guys, the Bryans. I've been able to learn a lot from and kind of apply, and happy with how it's gone for sure.
That's a very good answer. And I think you touched on kind of, I mean, like you said, it's an individual sport, but it's not. And you had teammates in a way that you were kind of, you know, pushing each other to get there. And I think something that I like to touch on in a team sport is that your brother's success needs to equal your success. So you need to be as excited for him as you are for yourself.
Right.
When you have that mindset, you're all pushing each other, and you're going to get to that level.
100%.
I like that a lot. So, I mean, I think we've touched on a lot of big issues that I think not only soccer in general, but athletics needs to hear. And a lot of it isn't basically the sport in general and how good you are at the sport, because I think naturally you're going to be good at a sport and you're going to work to get there. And if you don't have that work rate, you're not going to get there in the first place. But so much of it comes from the brain, and like you have so many different things outside of tennis, like your family, golf, your horses. And I think you need to kind of look back and see that it's more about life than just soccer, just tennis itself. And if you literally die down to everything is hit or miss, and it's going to be happy if you have a good day on the field or not, that pressure is going to build up and really not help you get to that next level. But in reality, when I have someone of your stature on a podcast, but when you talk the way you do and how humble you are, I think for me that's something that I want to show all my players and my followers, and it's very admirable. And like I said, you haven't changed since we knew each other at 14 years old.
Playing kickball at OTMS.
Like I wrote down on this sheet, tell Jack if he remembers, we were at Blue Valley North in the gymnasium. I was the exact opposite side, and I said, I bet you can't hit me with one tennis ball. And I'm running across, and you beamed me, and I had it so big on my
Lucky shot.
But that's the type of kids that you and I were. I felt we had rec team sports together, but we were literally in rec team sports like 5 hours a day because we were going to English class and math class.
Literally, took it every semester. Every semester we could, we were in rec team.
Literally, because we love sports that much. But
yeah,
it's funny. Well, look, this is something that, I mean, I get to sit down and talk to people who I want to talk to, and to be able to have you on and call you a friend is something that I'll cherish, not because of who you are on the tennis court, because who you are as a person. So I really appreciate you sitting down, and look, to you and Laura, I wish you all the best. And
yeah, appreciate it, man. No, I appreciate you having me on and taking the time. I'm happy to talk anytime, and obviously, we're brothers for life. So, and when I get back to the Midwest, we're definitely gonna kick it and play some golf or something, or get some dinner, or whatever we can.
All right, you got a hungry, humble, best forehand in the right back at you after this quarantine. So everyone, take a look at Jack Sock and watch his career continue to skyrocket, because he's a great person.
I appreciate it, man. You're the man, Jordy.
Thank you, brother. Love you.
All right. Peace, bro. Peace.